So in the scriptures, you hear this talk about unshakable things. Talking about there's a time coming when things will once again be shaken. And then in another place, it says that not only will the earth be shaken, but the heavens will be shaken. And then other places talk about the powers of the heavens being shaken. This great shaking, it reminds me of the old school Etch-a-Sketch toy. There's a big, like red bordered screen that was gray, and you would take your finger and drag it along this graph, and it would be like writing in pencil or drawing in pencil, whatever you wanted. And when you was done, you just shake the screen. You know what I mean? You shake the screen and you can start all over. You get a clean slate. Once the screen is shaken, you get a clean slate. How you like that? If you want a clean slate, it takes shaking to get the slate clean. It takes a shaking. It takes a rattling. You have to break down the thing and start over. You have to deconstruct it and then reconstruct it again. So breaking things down, breaking concepts down, retracing your steps, retracking your steps, tracking your progress, going back over your notes. All of this is an alchemy. All of this is an advanced form of alchemy. And it requires this shaking. This is what happens in catalytic conversions when chemicals are being blended together in the laboratory. When you're trying to find the composite of something, you're putting like maybe a base and a solid or an acid and a base together, and you get that bubbling or a smoking or any kind of heated chemical reaction. This is movement, thereby shaking, the shaking of the molecules. This dictates movement and energy, and it also points to power too. And when you look at the atoms themselves, the atoms are atoms. The ATOMSs are also ADAMSs. So it's people being riled up together and charged up together, not negatively charged ionically against each other, but charged for a common cause and pumped up and motivated by something that's common, a common goal. This is a shaking. There was another game talking about shake, rattle, and roll. This is a shaking. These things pertain to fire drills and what to do in the instance of when you're on fire. You stop, drop, and roll. In that, you're doing something counter to the shaking. You're putting out a fire. And this requires the manipulation of wind to an extent, enough to function like a snuffer. You have snuffers of your flame, and they're really invisible. Is sometimes we target people because those are basically the main things that they can inhabit, that we could pick up on, is when these invisible dark energies, they use other people in the shaking to try to shake us off course, to try to rattle us out of orbit. They'll come using whoever is influenced by it, whoever's, caught in a funk. These energies, ideas, thought forms, you could call them demons, call them whatever, but call them effective. They can affect a person's psyche, and then this person to be running around like the mascot or whatever this energy represents. But this is all part of the shaking. And just to let you know that it's not limited to just one part of how things are going on. You got the heavens and the earth being shaken. The earth is, everything really pertaining to the world system. You don't have to be as cinematic with it as to picture some cataclysmic natural catastrophe. But you could put it in applicable terms. Like, what does this look like in the business sector for there to be a grand shaking in the heavens and the earth, for the powers of the heavens to be shaken? What does this mean to your money? What does this mean to your food? What does this mean to your ideology? What does this mean to your people? What does this mean to the face of your innovation? Where are we headed as a society, as a people, as a planet, in response to this shaking of the powers in both the heavens and the powers on the earth. So on the ground level, everybody in the lobby, everybody that's, got to work to get that living, whether it's to thrive or just to barely make it, is ground level if you're putting in a considerable amount of effort for your wage. Those powers are being shaken in the sense that the whole face of the marketplace is changing, where people can really get money, get paid on their own with no boss, nothing. We're in that time now, officially. Technology being the main forerunner of it. And that's cool, because in order for something like that to work, the forerunner of it would have to be faceless, or there would be a martyr for even making such a thing possible. You mean a person can get rich as long as they have a cell phone? Yes. In thousands of ways, maybe even more than that. All legal. Absolutely. We're in that time now. You don't even need a desktop in a lot of arenas. Just a phone, just a smartphone, literally. That was shaking. That was some shaking going on the ground level. Because there had to be a shaking. You remember how rough it was when you wanted everybody to call you after 9 on the cell phones? Back when texting was more like toll-free, dialing the letter. If you wanted to text K, you had to press like 5 twice. Nah. A shaking took us from no G to 1G to 2G, 3, 4, 5G, and however many G's is gonna be. Those shakings take place to advance us. But the old picture, the old construct has to be etch-a-sketched. The screen has to be shaken. The boundaries got to be tested. Things got to be reformed and redefined. Terms have to be recreated and redefined and reassigned. What the shaking is from top to bottom. So what is the top? Higher things that are finer, that are less material, more like the thought, the feeling, the tone, the mood of the people, more like the vibe. How do people respond? How is these shakings going to cause depression to go up or down? How will it affect that? Shakings in the heavens and the earth. Now, another way to look at that too is, if you want to just keep it socioeconomic, you could say there's changing of the guard taking place even among the rich or among the wealthy, what you would call the powers. If there's infighting at the top of the pyramid, then this is also pointing right to the fact that the powers of the heavens are being shaken, as well as the powers on the earth. What's below is being shaken, just like what is above is being shaken. It's all being shaken up. You had the late great Muhammad Ali saying he shook up the world, right? And what was his title? The greatest. That was the title he wanted. That was the title he donned. The greatest. Greatness causes a shaking immediately. Any form of greatness, there's going to be a shaking. We usually don't recognize this because on a one-to-one local community level, it'll come in the form of jealousy, or in the form of like maybe a higher than natural admiration. But all of this is a shaking. And so when you see the first of things begin to shake, what the scriptures say, know that the vintage is near. When you see the budding of the leaves on the trees, know that the end is near. Know that the shaking is near. This is not just telling you, each spring it could be all over. It's saying when you see certain things start to change, whether on higher or lower levels, this is like a signpost letting you know like what the rest of the world is going to be like. Because there's a wave. One big wave that, goes across the whole planet. A psychological wave, an innovative wave. A time-directed, maybe quantumly organized wave. These waves can be called eras, ages, eons, ions, or epochs, or epochs. They could be called many things. But it's just something to govern or really put a timestamp on how things are going. Just the idea of time itself is emit backwards. Like I said in another video, when you look at actions, all things done or all things emitted, all things that have gone out, when you put that in reverse, you get time, because it's slowing down the act to freeze frame it and look at it. That's what's called time. Time is our way of saying we're being secretaries for our own existence. So we got to put numbers and digits, rather than rocks and pillars. It's just all systems. It's really pointing to the same thing. It all makes sense. It's why animals mark their territory. Signposts, just markers of time, markers of territory, markers. Timestamps. All creatures do it, no matter what, even if you're not aware of it. You instinctively do it. The sky does it. Not just people, things do it. Things do it. So again, this is Super T Sigma of Sigma Programming. I just wanted to holler at you for a little while about that. Continue to enjoy the rest of your day. Continue learning, earning, and keep that divine fire burning. Peace.